Banger fans, Blayne Smith and Dylan Gowan welcoming you to a special Overkill Reviews. Tell them why.
Well, it is the What We Missed edition. Obviously, there's so many metal releases that come out this year that it's hard to review them all at once. So we asked you guys to make your top 5 picks of the albums that came out this year that we didn't get to review. And now it's Blayne and I's job to let you know what we think.
And hey, you know, sometimes this lands new people here, so, you know, if you like us and you're new, get subscribed, and if you want more content like this and you've been watching for a while, maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. You know, usual spiel.
Yeah, you know, they understand it, they know the spiel. Let's talk about some music.
So, the number 5 thing you said we missed was Deathspell Omega, The Furnace of Palingenesia, on Norma Evangelium Diaboli. This is some French black metal that's also made by white power pedophiles. Or I guess I should say pedophile because I don't know what's going on with the other guys in the band.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so part of the reason I didn't want to talk about this album, and shame on you for making me talk about it, is the singer of the band has a long history of making music where he advocates the killing of Jews. He has interviews where you can see him saying the N-word. He has interviews saying that the only good thing about Nazi Germany was that they killed a bunch of Jews. And hey, if killing Jews and being racist isn't upsetting to you enough, because apparently for a bunch of you it isn't, he also used to have a noise project called Nicole 12, which was a pedophile-based noise project. It featured album covers with sexual images of young girls, and the whole thing featured audio clips of girls talking about being raped as children, and all stuff like that. So, great, you're really pushing boundaries, awesome, cool, thanks.
Well, that fucking ruined that album for me.
Yeah!
Because I completely did not know that, and okay, yeah, fuck this band.
And that should be everybody's reaction. But here we go, we'll talk about the music a bit. These guys are good at doing some things. They create a kind of large racket very well. It doesn't sound unorganized, it doesn't sound chaotic, it just sounds like a lot of noise. They have a great tone to make you feel like you're experiencing distress, which is, you know, good for a black metal band because the kind of normal black metal kind of wash over you effect has gotten, you know, a little less impactful over the years from hearing a bunch of bands like that. And they also avoid some of the black metal tropes of, you know, just blast beat and weenie guitars all the time. So, you know, good on them for that. Coincidentally, also, nothing to do with the fact that I hate this guy for everything else he does. The lyrics in this album are awful. Not in a way I'm offended, not in a way I'm shocked. These are just bad lyrics. It's a rambling, insane manifesto from a guy who simultaneously manages to be overly wordy while saying absolutely nothing. It's like if Jordan Peterson started a black metal band. This normally wouldn't be a problem in black metal, but they also eschew 3 other black metal things in that they sing in English, it's really high in the mix, it's not growled or screamed, it's mostly just talked. So it really is a damper over the album, both spiritually and functionally. Seriously, sit down, read these lyrics while listening to the album, and tell me these are well written. So Dylan, we're formally doing our jobs. What did you think of the music?
I mean, it's unconventional. I mean, the idea when it comes to song structure is definitely one that's like, I can understand why they get the kind of avant-garde tag with them. And it feels like it's a lot more experimental, especially when you get further into the track, well, onto all the tracks on the record. The album lyric approach is very much narrative, so it's like very much like in the lane of kind of storytelling. And it's one that a black metal band, it's like kind of a sound of a black metal band I haven't really heard of if I'm just purely talking about the music.
So if it wasn't for all the baggage and stuff, I'd give this 3 out of 5 skulls, but there is that baggage, so the skulls are telling you, please don't buy this album. Don't support these people.
Yeah, I'm the same with Blayne. I would have given it a 3 out of 5, but yeah, I can't support this band.
But moving on to happier times. Waste of Space Orchestra released Syntheosis on Svart Records, and hey, take a bow anyone who picked this, because you picked a good album. This is some Finnish weirdness. That's really, I mean, you can try and genre it, but it's not super genreable without a lot of slashes. So it's a super group, crazy collaboration, a lot of people involved. Both Oranzi Pazuzu and Dark Voodoo Rising fully got together, and so there's a ton of people in this band, and you know what? I don't think any of them shouldn't be there because all of them do something super interesting. Because sometimes that stuff can be a little repetitive and boring. Some of it's my favorite music, some of it is a little bit of a snooze fest. This is a total roller coaster ride front to back. You never know what you're gonna get. It has some of the best use of electronics and keyboards, I think. The electronics sound like you're floating behind a spaceship as it travels through hyperspace. The vocals, there's a huge range on them. At times, it's a wicked goblin screaming at you, and then there's a beautiful female lounge singer. It's really runs the gamut. One of the only times I'll ever say this, knowing the song titles enhances the music. You can listen to a song and you go, wow, that's a good song. And then you read the song title and you're like, damn, that is a perfectly named song. The Shamanic Vision sounds like a transformative acid trip in a forest that's dark and scary. The Universal Eye is like you're in the heart of the universe and it's giving you truths and you're just accepting life. Wake Up the Possessor starts in a dreamy trance and then literally sounds like we've woken up something called the Possessor. Great record. Dylan?
I can perfectly sum up the first half of this album with
complete snooze fest.
I mean, Doom is all about, I get it, it's all about the atmosphere, it's all about just creating a mood, and it's not necessarily linear song structure, but it feels like the first half of it, I really just couldn't get into it. And that's just because Doom isn't my thing. I just have yet to find a Doom band that I can really latch on with, except for Voller. However, me saying that though, Wake Up the Possessor, was that the other one? Yeah, the one that actually did wake me up, definitely does have a clever title because it gets way, way better. And it comes up with parts and grooves and hooks that I really wish I could hear in the first half of this album. It was just one of those records where it was just difficult for me to get into. But the parts that I did like on the second half of the album, I very much enjoyed.
So now, comes with a bit of a disclaimer because it's not a full formal review, so I'm not being as critical here.
What do you mean? What do you mean by you're not being so critical? We're a review show.
We're a review show, but this review is shortened, and we have to talk about 5 things. You know, so I didn't get to listen to it like 12 times like I normally would a record. But what I will say is, every time I listened to it, I enjoyed every single second of it, front to back. So it has an asterisk because it's not as deep of a dive. But regardless, I'm giving it 5 out of 5 skull blotters because great start to back. You're crazy.
I'm surprised that you were even able to stay awake throughout the whole album because I think the back half of the album is very strong, but the first half of it is just, to me, not very interesting. It just builds and builds and builds, and there's no real payoff to it. And that's why, since I only liked half of the album, I'm gonna give it a 2.5. Just Doom isn't my thing. Hashtag Dylan isn't Doom's thing.
Thus we come to number 3 that we missed. Really not surprised this one made the list. It's Overkill, The Wings of War on Nuclear Blast. So, this is some groovin' American thrash with maybe the most dedicated fan base in music because we haven't been able to put out a video since this album was released without someone commenting, where's Overkill? How are you gonna have a show called Overkill and not review Overkill? Well, I mean, part of it is because the show is called Overkill based on Sam Dunn's old radio show when he was a kid that doesn't really have anything to do with the band Overkill. But also, hey, here's your Overkill review, finally. So, I will say, for a band that released their first album in 1985, there's still a great level of energy, enthusiasm, and urgency here. This isn't a phoned-in record. These guys still want to be making music. Start of Last Man Standing, you know, after a bit of a build, you get a great clip of some thrash drumming. It's a fun song. It has a nice long solo. I can tell why you guys care, because it's clear they care as well. By the time Believe in the Fight comes on, you're like, all right. I'm starting to believe. I'm getting on the team. You're just moving along. Your head's bobbing. You're circling. There's some nice chanty background vocals in the chorus that you want to sing along with. And you know, all these songs are going to sound great live on the tour that I know you already have tickets for, or will be stabbing someone to get them. And yeah, it keeps moving along like that, and by the time we get to Distortion, which is a slower song, I'm not even mad about them putting a slower song on here because they've carried so much energy and momentum that it's a nice little water break and it's still a good song. But by the time track 7's done, I'm like, all right, Is the album over? This is because I feel like every song is at least a minute too long. It's not that they're bad songs, it's just they really don't need to be that long. Instead of having a 5 or 6 minute song, what should happen is it should be a 3-minute song, and then I should go, damn, that was sick. Boom, put it back, listen to it again. It also doesn't help that the last 3 songs are kind of throwaways. Not as great as the rest of the record. All I'm saying is, if Overkill puts out a 35-minute record, I'll get down in the Overkill comments with you and be like, where's Overkill? Where's Overkill? Yeah. Dylan?
I thought it was a very solid record. To be 19 albums into your career just shows the longevity of the band. One thing that really stuck out to me was the drumming, especially acquiring one of my favorite drummers, Jason Bittner of Shadows Fall and formerly of Flotsam and Jetsam. He just really adds a lot more intensity to this record, and he just comes up with very clever fills and hooks, and that's the reason why he's one of the most sought-after drummers within metal. Another thing that really sticks out is Bobby's vocals, especially in Believe in the Fight, which is probably, I think, the best song on this album. There's nothing really bad for me to say about it other than just it's a very solid thrash album. 4.5 out of 5 skulls.
Martin Popoff will be pleased. Like I said, a little less enthused, but not enthused. And hey, there's good in that record. You know, I just don't really need it to be almost an hour long. And that's why I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 skulls that have Overkill tattooed on their forehead, because y'all be crazy.
All right, taking the number 2 spot is an album that I was really hoping that you guys would pick, because I know it's for obvious reasons. Yep, it's Rammstein's self-titled album that came out on Universal Records. With this band, they're doing this kind of industrial metal thing with this kind of dance hall, but somehow very accessible, especially with one of their songs being one of the most annoyingly catchy ones, being Du Hast. Just diving into this album just sounds like it's a Rammstein record, which is neither a bad thing nor a good thing. It just shows that the band has a distinct sound that's very much their own, and they found a formula that works for them. But on this release, I felt just a little underwhelmed that I thought that it wasn't as good as previous releases. It's definitely not Rise Rise, or Ries Ries, or Reese's, or however the hell you pronounce it in German.
Rice!
Rice, that's it. Ausländer and Radio are kind of the, the first couple of singles along with Deutschland, and it just seems very cookie cutter Rammstein, more accessible, arguably, than I'd say this time around. Like, I think they were maybe a little too safe with a lot of their songs, but when you get into the B-sides, like Sex, Puppy, or Puppe, and then Zigdish, I have them all written down because I can't pronounce German very well, and I should know that because when we played Wacken, we had to learn German in 2 seconds. And anyway.
Brag much? Jeez.
Sorry, that was,
brag.
But when you get into the B-side, it seems like they have a lot more experimentation with a lot of the vocal arrangements and the melodies within this album, and makes it more enjoyable to listen to. To really sum up this record is what I've said previously. It's like they found a formula, they've stuck with it, and they haven't really branched out on that on this release. Blayne, what do you think?
Well, I'm mad for 2 reasons. A, you made me listen to a Rammstein album, and then it wasn't particularly bad, so now I'm going to have to say a series of nice things about a Rammstein album. Damn it. First of all, just a quick nod that their comeback album, when they've been off for a while, the first 2 words spoken on the album are Du Hast. Very funny, ballsy,
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, gotta pat you on the back for going that hard on a song that then Deutschland winds up being a pretty good song with some emotional weight, I understand that they're, genre-pushing band, but I never really considered them to be bringing some heavy stuff on the heart, but they managed to do it, so good on them. Someone's gonna comment how come you don't mention that Rammstein got in trouble for some Nazi shit on this? And it's the exact opposite.
No, it was the total opposite. They were saying yes, we love being German, but we can't ignore what our past is.
Well, I'm waiting for that comment to be because I don't think it's always bad. It's only bad when you're a Nazi. And then, track 2 comes in. What is it called? I don't know what it's called. To me, a song that sounds like I should be covered in latex and oil, having something put in my butt. We're back into it. I can't believe I'm going to say it, but yeah. Mostly more good than bad on the record, for sure. It's poppy, but in a fun way. It's poppy in a way that doesn't bother me. I found comparisons in my head being oh, this sounds a bit like Rob Zombie. This part even sounds like that Jimmy World single. There was comparisons to other pop songs because there's just a bunch of catchy kind of fun stuff on here. And they do sometimes get heavy. 2 of the tracks you mentioned, Zigdish and Puppe. Both of them are pretty heavy. There is absolutely some trash on here, though. Just some. Diamond is a lullaby from Till Lindemann, which makes me very uncomfortable. I don't want that guy singing me to sleep.
Oh, that was kind of weird, yeah.
Auslander is like an Ibiza foam party. I'm okay with these guys doing the weird, sexy dance party stuff if it's a dark room and everybody is in bondage gear. I don't want a bunch of people with fake spray-on tans at Coachella or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. What are you giving it?
Like I said before, it's pretty much the only way I can sum it up is that it's Rammstein being Rammstein. It's not a bad record, it's just not my favorite of theirs, but it's still an enjoyable listen. I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Damn, I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
3.5 ball-gagged skulls out of 5 for this Rammstein album.
Why did I knew that was going to be the skulls that you would pick?
And thus we come to our number one pick for what we missed. The thing you guys most wanted. Why am I talking first? Well, because it's a birthday cake that I've got to hand to Dylan because I'm sure he's just foaming at the mouth, ready to go. Here you go, buddy.
It's the number one pick, and I'm so glad you guys picked it. And of course, with the overwhelming votes that you guys picked, it's literally my choice for album of the year, and that's Devin Townsend's Empath, which came out on Inside Out Music and Heavy Devi Records. Now,
boy, I wonder how you feel about it.
Yeah, it's fucking good. It's absolutely really fucking good, and I'm going to tell you why. When you have a career that expands over 20 plus years, you play with Steve Vai, you help form Strap Young Lad, and you just have this endless stream of just like awesome albums after awesome albums. And literally, when you first listen to Castaway and Genesis, literally my jaw hit the floor. The experimentation on this record is amazing throughout. It's like watching a magic trick and go, how the fuck did he do that? It's like combines operatic music with 8-bit, with death metal, and funk music, and Latin music, and ambient music, and you're just blown away by how seamlessly he's able to blend all of these elements together. It's really funny how it gets into Spirits Will Collide, which I will admit, and he even admits in interviews that it sounds like a heavier version of Enya. That's what's great about his songwriting, is that he knows when it's like he can have fun with it, right? That's why on a track like Why, where it's very whimsical and musical, where all of a sudden it sounds like this kind of whippity-doo-dah musical, and then all of a sudden it just adds a right in the middle of it, and it's fucking hilarious. It knows how to have fun with it, and it's taking the piss out of a lot of tropes within prog. And what's amazing about it is all the guests that they have on this record. You have 3 amazingly talented drummers, like Morgan, Samus, and Anoop. Just all blending so well with each song. You have Steve Vai that does a part on the record, and oddly enough, you hear Chad Kroeger on this release, which was like, oh, that's interesting, but you don't really hear too much of his vocals though.
Thank God.
And the last song, Singularity, pretty much is just a marathon of a track. It's over 22 minutes long, and it just encompasses everything that's great about Devin's songwriting and how he's able to just experiment. And it's kind of like how we were saying about the Waste of Space Orchestra, how it just kind of like takes you away from it, and it just has to, like, you just basically shut off everything, and it just kind of, you get lost in the record. And that's what I felt on Empath. And if it seems very fanboyish, well, guess what? I don't care.
It's funny that you said Waste of Space takes forever to start, and then this album starts with like 2.5 minutes of waves laughing on a beach, and then the song that follows it has a 30-second intro on top of that. But I will say, full disclosure, I don't get Devin Townsend. Not in a way that I mean, like, I don't understand why people like this. I mean, like, I don't get it, like...
Because you hate everything fun.
It's a magic eye. It's like a magic eye. I'm not saying y'all can't see a boat. I'm just saying I can't see a boat, and that's my fault, I guess, for not being able to unfocus my eyes or whatever. It is a cool record. There's a lot going on here, and objectively, I can be impressed with what's happening. There is such a crazy mix of styles, and it's impressive enough to have one song that's super poppy and cheery, and one song that's heavy. It's crazy when that's not 2 different songs, that's one song, and you can transition to and from it pretty seamlessly. I do like it when it's heavier, obviously, and I would prefer if there was more heavy, but you know, it does maintain a good balance. Track something like Hear Me has a good balance of aggressive and some interjecting electronics and happy stuff. Why definitely is a little weird. It sounds like a song off the Les Mis soundtrack, but hey, I guess Les Mis is pretty cool. What it does get to me though is when it gets too happy, it's a little like scary happy, it's a little like disconcerting happy. I feel like after one of the really happy songs, I'm gonna leave with $200 worth of Herbalife products and be like, wait, why did I buy these? Am I in a cult now? I think I'm in a cult.
Yeah, but that's
Hey, you had your time,
You know
mister.
what? You know what? I can just chime in and just say, like, you know what? It's like, why do you hate things that are fun?
But like I said, I'm not the expert here. This isn't my genre. This isn't my guy. So I'm gonna throw it to Dylan.
I don't know what's into me today. I don't know. It's
all fired up.
all fired up today. Maybe because I was running here because I was unfortunately late and I'm apologizing.
This is the standard of professionalism around here. This?
All right, yes, it is basically my favorite album of this year at the moment. If Opeth comes up with something better, if Tool comes up with something better, then it might overtake it. But for now, my favorite album of this year, it's a 5 out of 5 or a 6 out of 5 or anything that's not mathematically correct because it's a 5 out of 5. What do you think?
And hey, I will say, like I said, I can be impressed by what's happening even if I never want to hear it again. So that's why I'm giving it 4 out of 5 Jean Valjean skulls. So hey, that was the top 5 what we missed, but there's still so many records that we missed. We know. So hey, here was 6 to 10 of your votes. Maybe give them a check out. Fire it off, Dylan.
Coming in at number 10 was Glory Hammer with their new record Legends from Beyond the Galactic Terror Vortex out on Napalm Records.
Number 9 was Warforged with One Voice on Artisan Era.
Coming in at number 8 was Wormwitch with Heaven That Dwells Within out on Prosthetic Records.
Coming in at number 7 was Batushka Panahide on Spherat Studio. Yeah, there's a note with this one. We didn't miss it. There's just another thing. Give it a month.
And number 6 was Venom Prison with their new record Samsara out on Prosthetic Records.
So hey, that was what we missed. 2019 part 1 of 2. Part 2 will be at the end of 2019. Thanks. Hey, thanks for all the votes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everything. And yeah. Why don't you tell them goodbye, Dylan?
See you guys next time. As you know, I'll talk about some prog. Blayne will talk about something that is not prog, or yeah. See you guys next time.
You're supposed to say goodbye.
Sorry, my bad.